battery supply chain? Very short question, and then you explain. And what is the role that can play by CAMU to support that program in Indonesia? Okay. There's only two questions. You can explain a little bit longer, and then.
Do you want long answers?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we will translate in the footnote. We will translate in bahasa.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Start.
Very
good. 1, 2, 3.
Good afternoon.
Ready.
Josh. You are more than welcome to Indonesia. We are very pleased, we are very glad, very happy to have you here, because for sure you have a lot of experience, a lot of information about the battery supply chain that now we are understand together that battery is something that will happen in the future. It's very, very crucial in the industry. And can you explain to us what is the issue in the global level of battery supply chains? Because that is important also to our member, like
yes.
Hearing here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. Right, it's really a great honor and pleasure. First of all, to be in Indonesia, but then to sit here with you and talk to the members of our affiliate Cembu. So this is a great opportunity, and you're right. I mean, batteries are super important because this is a growing segment. The whole debate that we have about clean energy, reducing carbon emissions, etc.
Global warming.
One of the main answers to this is to go electrical.
Yes. And
to use batteries as a charging tool, as a tool where we save energy. Yeah. This means a drastic revolution, actually, because we suddenly need raw materials in great quantities that we haven't used so much before. So we'll need lithium, which comes a lot from Latin America. We need cobalt, which is very much in Africa.
Yeah.
And now we see that nickel, which is one of the core raw materials, can actually be found in great quantities in Indonesia. And therefore, that is very interesting. The other part of it is that, of course, these raw materials, they need to be refined, they need to be worked on in order to make cathode or anode material out of it, and then produce the battery cell. And there again, we see a huge industry growing, particularly in smelting and refinery of these products, very much dominated by Chinese. So 80 to 90% of this entire segment of the battery supply chain is controlled by Chinese companies.
Yes, 80 to 90%.
Yeah. So all of the raw materials actually go through, a lot goes physically to China and is refined there, and then comes as a cell out of China. Others, I mean, but of course Chinese companies also invested in other countries, and so smelting and refinery is done then in the country itself. I think there are some examples in Indonesia as well, where actually Chinese companies are the ones owning the smelters next to not far away from where the raw materials come, or where the nickel comes from. In that case. So this is a growing industrial segment. And of course it will replace a larger portion of the for instance, of the automotive supply chain, where we have a lot of members today. Like building combustion engines or transmissions is a huge business. Also here in Indonesia, a lot of parts manufacturers are here producing components for combustion engines. If it's true what the experts say, that the electric vehicles will, over the next 30 to 40 years, replace more or less entirely combustion engine vehicles, then this would mean that this part of the industry will die, the one or the other way. but there are new opportunities in the battery supply chain.
Yes.
So also from a job perspective,
Yeah.
this is important for us.
Yeah.
The next aspect is, of course, that we look more and more into entire supply chains. And if I come from the auto sector, so I can tell you that in the auto sector we are very well organized. Most of the big companies are nearly 100% union, with the exception of Tesla or these bad guys. But otherwise, it's pretty organized.
Yeah.
But we know that if we go upstream automotive supply chains, we know that things are maybe still quite okay when it comes to unions and worker rights in the first tier, but then going further up, things become really difficult.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
And my colleague who is in charge of mining, Glenn, he always says to me, like, you know, the worst working conditions you can normally find in mining. And so therefore, this is why we said, okay, let's look into these supply chains from upstream all the way to the final product, and let's look into the working conditions and the unionization, because of course our main objective is to organize workers along supply chains, because we also see that upstream there are less and less workers organized, right? So if I said, like, if you find 90% in auto, then you have maybe 5 or 6% in the mining areas.
Yeah, that's also what I would like to say also. It's completely different. It's not completely, but there is different story between manufacturing like BMW, Renault in Europe, and if we downgrade the level 1 and level 2, for instance, about the nickel mining in Indonesia, about the smelter, because a couple of weeks ago I make kind of research in newspaper and also in YouTube that find a lot of accident. A lot of accident happen in smelter, happen also in the mining.
Absolutely.
So that is will need a different approach. What I mean is, of course, it's completely different with what happened, well organized and so on in car manufacturing in Europe. What will be strategy of IndustriALL to catch up that different issue, and especially, to be very honest, what I heard, what I studied from newspaper, from YouTube, most of Chinese company is this little bit in my mind is little bit out of European hand. So what will be strategy? Meanwhile, they, like you say, they handle, let's say, they get 80 to 90% of nickel from Indonesia. Let's say, what will be the strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. And health and safety is certainly one of the big top issues that we look into. The vehicle or the strategy that we have is actually linked to processes around human rights due diligence. We see there are more and more laws, standards, and initiatives in existence. And actually, even I saw there was a questionnaire put out to main managers, and they were asked, what is the most important corporate issue that you want to tackle? And the number one issue is today to have a clean image, to have a green image, to be socially responsible, so you can see things are moving towards environment and social. And therefore we say, okay, us as a global trade union organization, we want to make use of this. Because the companies are now, in many cases, even by laws, forced to do due diligence and long entire supply chains. So they are forced to look into, they have to do a risk analysis along their supply chains. In case there is a high risk they analyze, they have to go on the ground, they have to do audits, and then they have to write reports which are public. so which we can all read. And there's always also a grievance mechanism in this. So the companies have to provide a channel for people, anonymously or not, to make their grievance, to make their cases public, to inform the company about this, and then the company has a procedure and has got to follow up. So there is a whole bunch of policy instruments created and in existence. It's still in development, but it's already much further developed than years back. And we would like to use this. And we will also like to use this in the context of the Chinese companies. Because at the very end, their products will also end up, I mean, everywhere on the globe, right? So they have global customers. So we think we can also put the Chinese companies under pressure. And we already see that some of the big guys, like for instance, CATL, the biggest battery manufacturer, they are already starting to develop their own policies, and they see that they cannot continue as they did before, where there was no public control. So we have the feeling things are changing, and we would like to use this.
And they have to follow also the standard.
In the very end, yes, because I think they will, because their economic success will also depend on their policy in the field of social and environmental issues. There's still a long way to go for the Chinese, but we can see there's some who get going, and I think that's very important.
Because I think by doing that due diligence and the investigation, audit on site, and the data that we got from site go to public level, go to the customer level in European car manufacturing, for instance, then everybody in the top leader of China will think that, that will be different with before. So I think global battery supply chain program will be very important to our member. But the question is how we know that not the mining worker is our member. What I understand, even a lot of people still do not understand the importance become member of union. Even they get less salary than standard. Also they agree, because not they agree actually, they don't know. So we need to do more kind of socialization, explanation to the people.
Absolutely.
IndustriALL also have that kind of strategy, that kind of program.
Absolutely, and you actually can see in all of the standards, legislation, initiatives, whatever exists in the field of human rights due diligence, the two fundamental aspects, the right to establish a union, we call this freedom of association. So people have the right to come together and form an association, in that case a union. And the right to collective bargaining, so that the union which is formed goes into bargaining with the company,
the management,
to settle an agreement, which makes which fixes wages, working conditions, working time, health and safety, etc., etc. This is what
in Indonesia we call PKB, PKB, Perjanjian Kerja Bersama.
Exactly. So this is our top priority. But in reality, the issue is that companies so far put very much the focus on environmental issues like clean water, etc., on protecting indigenous people, of no forced labor, no child labor, which are all very important issues. But but then you see in their priority list, like what I just said, freedom of association, collective bargaining, is very much lower in their priority list, which is a real issue. Because of course, we know as unionists, you will have less environmental issues, you will have no forced labor and no child labor when there is a union. And when there is a union that can bargain with the company. So therefore we say these are the basic priorities which need to move up in the priority list, at least to the top 10.
Yeah,
right?
that is the important that all member also understand that actually we need to work together from national leader like JMU up to our member on site in the mining side. Work together that make force, I would say, to push company, to push management, to bring up that worker issue to the top one priority or top three priority, not put in the below list of the priority of the company.
Because the biggest issue is that companies, we call this union busting. So companies take a stand which is anti-union.
Yeah.
This is the major problem in the world. A lot of workers would like to organize and join a union. But there is a lot of pressure from the company side, from the management to say, don't do this. It's dangerous. It's no good. Or if you do it, then we will fire you. So it can become really harsh, right? And this is exactly where we have to make very clear that this is a fundamental right. This is a global right to join a union.
Okay.
And if a company puts pressure on workers not to join a union, then this is a violation of an international law.
Yes, correct. Okay.
It is that simple, actually.
Yes. So that is the message. The message we need to really emphasize to our member also here.
Absolutely, yeah.
That union is one of the right that's protected by even ILO, even the United Nations. So if there is some union busting happen in the company by management, let's say, then we can bring up that issue to the not only the national level, but it's even in the international level.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So last question, just very interesting. Your explanation is really very good. You said that about environmental issue and then also child, and that's mean that you can work together also with non-government organization or other government, local citizen in that mining site, for instance, to make that Bateray supply chains target happen. I mean standard working environment, standard working condition that is same level. We can work together also to NGO or with the local people.
Of course, that is super important. Of course, because the number one priority is to change the situation on the ground.
Yeah.
So if all of these policies are just, to produce a glossy report in the very end, then it's no value. The important thing is we need to change things on the ground. Our joint position on this, there will only be a fundamental change on the ground with union, not without a union. But of course, it needs coalitions, it needs networks where we work together. NGOs can partly be a very good partner for us. But we would also, our approach is very much to say, let's bring the unions on the ground, the global union, the companies, and other partners together. And our idea is even to come to Indonesia all together very soon. And then we look into the reality of mines in Indonesia, and we show the companies on the ground what's happening. And then our hope is, or we're actually pretty sure, that this will have a very positive effect.
Yes.
Both for you as a union, certainly for the workers, and also for the companies to understand what they have to do different in the future in order to really, as I said in the beginning, improve the situation on the ground.
And make sustainability for the future. The company itself.
Absolutely. And for this, we all have to work together. And Cembu is one of our key partners when we look into this pilot project in Indonesia.
Okay, very good, very important and very interesting sharing from Josh.
Thank you very much. That was great. Great opportunity to talk with you about this.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You know that his level is his time is very tight, but still provide his valuable time to speak to the people, to speak to all of us in Jammu. So let's support together global Bateray chain project in Indonesia, which soon will come in. So again, just thanks for your time, and hope you have a nice and safe flight to Geneva, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Or
It goes back home. I go back home. Thank you very much for the opportunity again, and hopefully we'll meet again on this channel then next year,
Sure.
and we can already report from the project on the road.
Yes, thank you very
Thanks
much.
so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, that's
Cool.
great.
Thank you.